Hello, I am Ethan Sidarsky, and I found the claim for this project, and I will be talking to you. Will the magnetic field work?
Hi, my name is Garrett, and what I did was I did research on solar flares and the damage that it would cause to the planet, and I edited the video. Our topic is about Cornell mass ejections, which is another name for solar flares. And our topic is protecting the Earth from future solar flares hitting the planet. And the claim we found was to protect the Earth from potential devastating effects of extreme space weather. Scientists have proposed the construction of a giant magnetic shield around the planet to deflect disruptive particles away from it. We found this on Newsweek.com. And solar flares do have a chance of hitting the Earth in the future. And creating a giant magnetic shield would deflect disruptive particles away from the planet. In 2008, the National Research Council estimated if a solar storm from the sun hit the planet, the damage caused could be up to $2 trillion for the U.S. and up to $10 trillion globally. So this shows that solar flares could potentially be very disruptive in hitting the planet. Now we'll be talking about what a solar flare is. A solar flare occurs when a magnetic energy has built up on the surface of the sun for a while and is suddenly released. Now the effects a solar flare would have on the Earth. In September of 1859, a solar flare hit the Earth, causing Morse code systems to turn off and electric towers sent sparks flying. So essentially, if a solar flare were to hit the Earth today, it would cause a failure of electricity, and as stated in the article, up to $2 trillion in damage for the U.S. and $10 trillion worldwide. Solar flares have high energy particles and high radiation levels dangerous to humans. Electromagnetic radiation is the most dangerous emission from solar flares, primarily X-rays. But the surface of the Earth is well protected by Earth's atmosphere. The Earth's atmosphere would stop X-rays, but satellites would be affected negatively, such as communications, radios, and GPS. Solar flares take 3 to 5 days to reach the Earth after it goes off, if it is strong enough to reach the Earth. Solar flares are more active every 11 years during an 11-year cycle. Solar flares will damage satellites, disrupting communication. Solar flares also damage power grids, taking out power for wherever it is damaged.
Hello, this is Ethan, and I'll be talking to you. Will the magnetic shield work? The magnetic shield will produce positive or negative particles, depending on the solar storm. The solar storm releases plasma particles / radiation particles that will either have a negative or positive charge, and the magnetic field will have the opposite charge to counteract the charges. Um, this this magnetic field would need 8,500 kilowatts of energy, and since the model that of the magnetic space station that they're making to produce this field is based off the the old space station, which only produces 84 to 120 kilowatts, and that's enough to power a little bit more than 40 homes. And 8,500 kilowatts is basically 100 Tesla car batteries. So potentially we can make 8,500 kilowatts of energy. Just once the if it's based off the space station, it will not produce enough energy to make enough. Well, the old space station won't be able to make enough energy to produce this magnetic shield. But if we're just saying that we had enough energy, possibly this shield would work because of the canceling out of charges in atoms that we know of. Since positive and negative atoms cancel each other out, we know that that works. But the amount of energy it's needed just doesn't add up unless you somehow made a bigger space station. But since they're basing it off the old blueprints of the space station, the shield does not work at all. And potentially, even if it did work, the solar storm can do like a turbulence too, like when you're flying a plane and the plane juttled a bit. That's because of the wind, but like the solar storm could act the same way, and it could move potentially out of the way of the shield, because turbulence just means it moves abnormally. So it could move out of the way and go around the shield, because the shield is a circle that just is like a circle shield that blocks the Earth from direct impact. So potentially, if the turbulence went around, it would be hitting the Earth from the side, and it would still be causing all its damage. So potentially, this shield won't work because you won't be able to make enough energy to produce this if you just use the old space station blueprints.
Alright, so for our mind map, we started out with the topic that Ethan found and we were all interested in, which is solar flares hitting the Earth. And so then we all researched a little bit more about solar flares and exactly what they are and what they do. And then we researched the damage that solar flares can cause and the rays they emit. And then Ethan researched the particles of solar flares. And then we researched if we can deflect the harming rays of solar flares.